Good to have you with us at this hour. I'm Daniel Che for ARIRANG News. No more postponements, no more cancellations. It is on. We have the details from the venue of the Inter-Korean Family Reunion event. After the shocking roof collapse of an auditorium in Gyeongju that killed 10 people, Prime Minister Chung Eung-won not only wants a thorough investigation into the cause of the incident, he wants those accountable to be punished, along with safety inspections of similar facilities throughout the country. The doubts and the pressure all disintegrated as soon as she put her game face on and hit the ice. In this morning's short program, defending Olympic figure skating champ Kim Hyun-ah shows everyone she's still on top. The anticipation is building at Mount Kumgang as we're less than an hour away now from the start of reunions for families separated since the Korean War. The 80-plus South Koreans taking part in the three-day event will be meeting with their loved ones face-to-face for the first time since they were torn apart by war more than 60 years ago. Our Connie Kim reports on the latest.
The 82 elderly South Koreans will be taking part in the reunion event arrived at the North's Mount Kumgang resort at about 1 p.m. on Thursday. The group crossed a heavily fortified border between the South and North Korea at around 10 a.m., escorted by officials from the South Korean Red Cross and medical personnel in case one of the participants should encounter health problems. And in fact, the group's departure was delayed as two female members of the group needed medical attention. They ended up being placed into ambulances for their journey to the reunion site. More than a dozen of the participants were in wheelchairs and needed help boarding buses, which they shared with a total of 58 family members who are going along to provide physical and emotional support.
I couldn't sleep last night. I don't really know what we'll talk about until I really meet them. I haven't seen them for more than 60 years.
The first meeting in more than 6 decades between family members from both Koreas is scheduled to begin at 3 p.m. and last for 2 hours. They will then attend a welcoming banquet together later in the evening at 7. During this first round of reunions from Thursday through Saturday, the separated South Korean and North Korean family members will meet on 6 separate occasions for a total of 11 hours. This first group will return to South Korea Saturday afternoon. The second round of reunions will begin 1 day later and last from Sunday through Tuesday, where 88 North Koreans will reunite with 361 of their relatives from the South. Connie Kim, ARIRANG News.
We shift gears now to another story. A top Chinese official who visited Pyongyang this week is scheduled to arrive in Seoul later on this Thursday, raising speculation that progress is being made in international efforts to denuclearize North Korea. An official at the South's foreign ministry confirmed Chinese Vice Foreign Minister Liu Zhenmin's 3-day visit to Seoul until Saturday, where he will meet with a number of officials here, including the chief negotiator to the six-party nuclear talks. Liu's trip to Pyongyang has been closely watched, especially since it came after the top diplomats of Beijing and Washington recently said they exchanged proposals on ways to spur the North to disarm its nuclear weapons. And whatever was discussed between the two ministers was likely relayed to Pyongyang by Liu, and he is expected to give details of his North Korea trip in Seoul. And in the spirit of strengthening diplomatic and strategic ties between Seoul and Beijing, 40 Korean lawmakers left for a 4-day visit to China this Thursday morning. The parliamentary group, the largest ever from Korea to visit China, is scheduled to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Chairman of the National People's Congress Standing Committee, Zhang De-jang. In their meeting with Zhang, the Korean lawmakers plan to discuss a range of inter-Korean issues, along with ways to foster more exchanges between the two countries' parliaments. The Korean lawmakers will also visit the free trade zone in Shanghai before returning home Sunday. And officials from 3 government ministries went to the presidential office of Cheongwade this morning to hand in their status report and left with an order from the president to reassess public organizations. President Park Geun-hye once again called on the Ministry of Strategy and Finance, the Finance Services Commission, and Korea Fair Trade Commission to look into reducing the debt of public organizations, tackling mismanagement, and increasing productivity. She also mentioned that acts that hurt economically weak businesses must be eradicated and asked for measures that would restore the trust of financial consumers after the recent leak of personal data by 3 major credit card companies. Prime Minister Chung Eung-won has vowed to get to the bottom of Monday's night's fatal building collapse in Korea's southeastern city of Gyeongju. that killed 10 people and injured some 100 others. At an emergency meeting of related ministers this morning, the Prime Minister ordered a thorough investigation into the cause of the incident and punish those found accountable and safety inspections of similar facilities throughout the country. The state police agency plans to look into whether lax management of the Gyeongju resort and illegal construction approval could have been the major factors in the deadly collapse. Police plan to summon up to 30 people for questioning. Despite what some feared, Korean exporters will not be negatively impacted by the U.S. Federal Reserve's tapering of its stimulus measures. That was the message from the Export-Import Bank of Korea on Wednesday in a report which said the economic recovery in the United States will outpace the instability in emerging markets affected by the tapering. The bank identified those economies facing uncertainties as Turkey, Egypt, Mexico, and Indonesia, but added that they only make up about 11% of Korea's total exports. Although the value of the Korean won has fallen in recent months, the Export-Import Bank of Korea said it expects companies to benefit from it through better price competitiveness and higher profits. And taking a look at the stock market action for today, South Korean stocks traded lower as the market reacts to concerns that the U.S. Federal Reserve may move to raise its benchmark interest rate. As of 1:30 p.m., the benchmark Kospi went down 0.53%, while the tech-heavy Kosdaq lost 3.01 points. The Korean won has been trading at 1,072 won against the greenback. After 2 days of deadly clashes in Ukraine, the government and protesters say they're ready to lay down their weapons and talk. President Viktor Yanukovych has agreed to a truce with opposition leaders, but the question is, how long will it last? Our Shin Se-min reports.
Embattled Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych announced late Wednesday that he had agreed to a truce with leaders of the nation's top 3 opposition parties after street violence killed 26 people and injured hundreds of others the day before. On his official website, Yanukovych said his administration and the opposition had agreed to negotiate to end the bloodshed and stabilize the situation in the interest of social peace. While a step in the right direction, there are lingering doubts about whether the truce will hold. The government and opposition have held talks before, as recently as last week when protesters agreed to clear out of City Hall and downtown streets. However, the goodwill came to an end with the street violence Tuesday. President Yanukovych's announcement came less than a day after police charged at protesters in Kyiv's Independence Square, causing hours of clashes. Earlier Wednesday, the United States, France, and Germany reacted to the violence.
The United States condemns in strongest terms the violence that's taking place there.
I'd like once again to underline the seriousness of the Ukrainian situation and remind you we have decided regarding tomorrow's meeting of foreign affairs ministers.
The foreign ministers of France, Germany, and Poland are scheduled to visit Ukraine on Thursday to meet with Yanukovych and opposition leaders. In another development, Yanukovych fired his army chief Wednesday as thousands of opposition protesters blocked barricades in the capital, and the military announced a nationwide strike. Shin Se-min, ARIRANG News.
The United States has reiterated its calls on Korea and Japan to resolve their historical and territorial differences through dialogue. A press briefing Wednesday, U.S. State Department spokesperson Mary Harf said there, Washington will encourage its 2 key regional allies to cooperate in the name of maintaining peace and stability in Northeast Asia. However, Harf refused to comment on remarks made by Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's special advisor Ito Seiichi, who earlier this week criticized the U.S. for expressing disappointment over Abe's visit to the Yasukuni War Shrine in December. Harf only said that Washington's efforts to get Seoul and Tokyo on better terms would not be swayed by such a view from a Japanese official. Speaking of Japan, the country is intensifying efforts to lobby against bills to use the name EC for the body of water between Korea and Japan, after 2 lawmakers from the U.S. state of New York introduced the bill to the state legislature. The lawmakers, Toby Ann Stavisky and Edward Bronstein, they say they received a letter from the Japanese Consulate General in New York opposing the dual use of the name East Sea in all new school textbooks. The letter said the U.S. State Department has used the Japanese name Sea of Japan as the official name, so both names are not necessary. The lawmakers' offices also said they received about 20 emails from Japanese people protesting the bill. The lawmakers presented the bills in the two houses of the legislature after the state of Virginia recently passed a similar bill. The historical and territorial differences that divide Korea and Japan are very clear to those at the center. But to the outside world, the disputes can be confusing and the emotion underestimated. To give the international community a better understanding of where Korea is coming from, the government and civic groups are attempting to improve Korea's brand image. Our Kwon So-hwa has the details.
Hundreds of people, mainly students, gathered Wednesday at the opening of the exhibition Brand Image Up, hosted by Yonhap News Agency and the Voluntary Agency Network of Korea, or VANK. The so-called cyber diplomatic organization uses its time promoting the country and improving Korea's brand image globally. They focus on reporting the truth about issues like Japan's claims to Korea's Dokdo Island, the naming of the East Sea, and the women forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese military during World War II.
As I'm Korean, I want other people, not even South Korean, but other foreigners to know what is right about South Korea, and that's what I'm volunteering for.
I believe that informing foreigners about our country is the best way to improve Korea's status.
Park Ki-tae, the founder of VANK, which has 12,000 members, says his dream to give the world a better understanding of Korea began with a pen pal letter. One of Park's foreign friends told him that maps abroad identify Korea's East Sea as the Sea of Japan and refer to Korea's Dokdo Island by what the Japanese call it Takeshima.
So I've been upset. So I sent email. This is wrong. Sea of Japan is wrong. Takeshima is wrong. It's Dokdo and East Sea.
To bring about change, VANK began to send letters to foreign media outlets and foreign governments asking that they change their textbooks and maps. Korean singer Kim Jang-hoon, who is a member of VANK, expressed his thoughts on improving Korea's brand image.
Although I am a singer, I founded a website called truthoftokdo.com and also an application. We shouldn't fight with foreigners about Dokdo, but prove it in a logical way by showing them evidence.
The exhibition runs through February 25th at the National Museum of Korea, aiming to spread the idea that all Koreans are ambassadors representing their nation. Kwon So-hwa, ARIRANG News.
I am extremely tired, and most of the country is, because they were up in the wee hours of the morning to watch figure skating queen Kim Yeon-a's first performance at the Sochi Olympics. She inches ever closer to securing what could be historic back-to-back Olympic golds. For details, we turn to our Olympics correspondent Song Ji-san in Sochi.
Hello guys. The IOC's official website announced Wednesday there was Yeon-a time, and it was Kim skating that showed the world that she was determined to go out on top in Sochi as a multiple world and Olympic champion. With jumps of huge scale and exquisite expressions like no other, Kim skated an almost flawless program to the music, sending the clowns to lead the short program at 74.92 points. That's about 4 points short of a world record she set in Vancouver 4 years ago. But some are saying she should have received a higher score, as her skate was clean, earning her the highest program component score here at Sochi that grades her artistic expression. Although Kim had no trouble landing her triples, Kim told reporters after her performance that she was a bit tense just before her turn, but she believed in herself and was relieved after her jumps landed successfully. After her short program performance, fans were even more convinced Kim will defend her Olympic gold to become the only third female skater in history to win 2 consecutive Olympic golds in this highly competitive event.
I'm really happy that she got the best score in the game, and I wish her more luck in the next game.
First of all, it was inspiring. I think she will win.
But Kim needs to widen or at least maintain the gap between her and the runners-up, as the top 3 are within a single point of each other. 17-year-old Russian Adelina Sotnikova fascinated home fans with a stunning performance and is just 0.28 points behind Kim. Italian Caroline Kostner also skated with great grace to Ave Maria to put her in third place, just 0.8 points short of the top spot. 15-year-old Russian skating sensation Yulia Rimtskaya sits in fifth place after failing to land her last jump. Korea's two other skaters, Kim Hae-jin and Park Soo-yeon, also advanced to free skating on Thursday, a day as they qualified in the top 24. Park Soo-yeon is the first to skate the long program on Thursday at 7 p.m. Sochi time, and that's midnight Korea time. Kim Yeona will be the last, skating her last free program, dancing to the tango Adios No Nino, bringing the curtain down on an unparalleled skating career and saying one last goodbye to her fans. So once again a reminder, Kim will be skating in the early hours of Friday morning Korea time. Let's all cheer her on and help her win a historic gold in Sochi. That's all for me from now, reporting from Sochi Media Center. Back to you guys.
All right, Jisun, thank you for that report. That was our Song Jisun reporting live from Sochi on Kim Yeona's stunning performance. Now it's time for our daily coverage of the 2014 Sochi Winter Games. And for that, we have Lee Tae-ho joining us in the studio. Good afternoon, Tae-ho.
Good afternoon.
Well, we have a lot of excitement going on in Korea. The awaited women's figure skating competition kicked off. And of course, many people have bloodshot eyes, including you and me. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, this was a hot topic all around the world. NBC commentators were saying how amazing Kim Yeona was despite her lack of international competition for the last 4 years after her 2010 record-setting performance in Vancouver. But despite all that, they compared her to Michael Jordan coming back for his second stint on the basketball court, not missing a step, and actually just being equally as amazing as before.
Michael Jordan analogy that I like. That is something I really like. But, you know, she actually did not get a lot of points. I mean, she did not lead by quite as much as we expected her to. The judges were a little bit stingy with the points.
I think they kind of lowballed her score for 74.92, which is a very marginal difference between the second place skaters and the third place skaters, both Sotnikova and Kostner. But despite all that, many fans are regarding her performance as absolutely flawless. She might have missed a step or two, but it wasn't anything apparent to the naked eye. And despite all the judges' scores and what she received, I think was a little bit lower than what it tended to be. But what Kim mentioned after the performance was that every season the point totals, the scoring system, and the level of difficulty for jumps and performances changes. So she was really accepting of the score, and she also admitted she was pretty nervous, more nervous than she had anticipated being before the competition. So that might have had something to do with it too.
Oh, definitely. Repeating is a lot harder than going there and trying it for the first time. And it's going to be a very difficult challenge, I think, is free skating tonight because we have a lot of tough competition. Two hometown favorites, two Russians in the top 5.
That's right. Now, the heavy favorite, of course, was Russia's sweetheart, Lipnitskaya, who kind of faltered. She fell on one of her jumps. She placed 5th in the going into the free skate competition. The surprise, and I think the more favored of the two Russian skaters before Yulia Lipnitskaya's rise, Sotnikova, really came to really compete with no burden on her shoulders, and it really showed because she's in second right now, of course. And Italy's Kostner, who is up there in age and is probably wrapping up her career here, did absolutely amazing with her Ave Maria performance as well.
You know, they say you're only as good as your rivals. Unfortunately, the girl that many considered rivals some 50 years ago, Mao Asada. I'm kidding there a little bit, of course. She did not really deliver on what was expected of her.
She had a very disappointing performance. She fell on one of her jumps as well. She placed 16th going into the free skate competition, which is really disappointing considering she was also a heavy medal favorite after Kim Yeona and one who was supposed to really give the queen a run for her money. And it definitely didn't show. She fell on her triple axel, and the triple axel, which is what she is known for, of course, is something that she hasn't been hitting all season. So the Olympics were no different as well.
You know, it's sad and painful because these two are actually great friends other than rivals, Kim Yona and Mao Asada. I'm sure they're giving each other a very showing strong support for each other right now, and they both need it. Russia's sweetheart Yulia Lipnitskaya, the name we're getting used to pronouncing. What about her?
Well, she did a lot. She failed to live up to her team skate short program score, which was tops throughout the team event. However, she did fall, like I mentioned before, on one of her first jumps to really come in 5th place, and it's kind of disappointing. A lot of people were pegging her as the next big thing, the dark horse, the rival to Kim Yona, and the one who will be dethroning her. But despite all that buzz, I think Kim really stood up to the pressure and brushed it off like she always does with the composure of a champion, and she really shined yesterday.
Right, it just shows that some people can't really handle the pressure. It takes a little bit more to make a champion. Let's talk a little bit more about the other competitors, also not very familiar names from Russia and Italy.
Well, Kostner, of course, of Italy is 27 years old. She's been competing for a very long time. She had a disappointing result in the 2010 Vancouver Games, but she's doing very well right now at the Sochi Games. Lipnitskaya, like we just mentioned, is in 5th place. The American Gracie Gold is currently in 4th place, and I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. Team USA is definitely rebounding with their performances this year. They're placing 4th and 6th, so they're showing very strong at the Sochi Winter Games this season.
You know, one thing I know about Team USA, they play best with their backs to the wall in whatever sporting category, so they're definitely dark horses to watch out for. But what about the little Yonas, the little ones that actually benefited from the Kim Yona training programs?
Well, you know, they definitely did benefit from Kim Yona because by Kim Yona winning the 2013 ISU Figure Skating Championships, it allowed for a max 3 competitors in the figure skating competition this year, which is why Park and Kim are both in this competition as well. And they both placed in the top 24, 18th and 23rd. So we'll be seeing them in the free skate as well tonight. So very, very good news for the future of Korean figure skating, definitely.
You know, I think the Winter Games has boiled down to just one category for most Koreans right now. Figure skating is everything in their minds right now. We do expect Kim Yona to deliver tonight too, right?
Hopefully, but I think we'll be waiting a little bit longer than we expected because she drew the last lot. She'll be performing dead last in tonight's free skate competition. Something that she mentioned at the press interview after her performance was that she did not like skating last because there's so many eyes on her, so much pressure. But despite all that, because she has so much experience in these big competitions, she said there won't be a problem. Very well expected of her, of course.
Well, usually multitasking is something that they say women are better at. Now we're going to take a look at a man, an XY chromosome owner who actually does it all in the biathlon, right?
That's right, and not just any biathlon athlete, but the oldest winner athlete to ever win a gold medal. Norway's Ole Einar Bjørndalen, excuse me.
Good job, good job.
Bjørndalen just became the oldest man to ever win a gold medal yesterday in the mixed relay biathlon event. And in winning the gold medal, he also became the most decorated Winter Olympian, winning a total of 13 medals. I mean, these are 8 gold medals, 4 silver medals, and just 1 bronze, which shows that on the skis, he's a dominating force. And he actually has another chance at another medal, so he can add to his tally. So we'll be looking forward to that this weekend.
You know, it's always good to hear the old dogs learning new tricks and staying strong there. What about news of Summer Olympian who actually won gold?
This is actually a really interesting story because a Summer Olympian, a sprinter actually, Lauren Williams, she went on to win her first Winter Olympic medal. She won the silver medal in the 2-man bobsleigh event last night. And this is really interesting because she's a dual season Olympian. Winning gold for Team USA in the relay event in the London 2012 games, and of course, like we just mentioned, silver yesterday. And so this is something that's not as surprising or something out of this world that many people might think, because another famous case, a football player, Herschel Walker, who played for the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL, was also a crossover athlete who went from football to bobsledding, because these gifted athletes, when they go into a different sport, especially bobsledding, they already have half the features required for bobsledding, the amazing strength and amazing speed.
Well, good to learn about various compatibility in sports. Thank you for those updates, Teo. We look forward to hearing more very insightful, trivial, and very useful updates from you again tomorrow.
All right.
And that's a wrap for us. Thank you for watching. More updates coming up at 4 p.m. Korea time.